have something for you.
Welcome to yet another glorious episode of the Quad Damage Podcast. I'm one of your several hosts, Midnight Medium, joined by none other than Deadforge.
How's it going? My mic was off there for a second.
I was like, I'm trying to look into my camera, not yours, but there is a distinct lack of, I was like, is he there?
Yeah.
And also joined by Robert.
Hey, everyone.
So stay tuned. I know we're just getting started, but hang with us. We've got some of our most, revealing segments coming up in the rapid fire round. We get to know our guests much better than just the casual interview questions that we normally give. And then we've also got the guest questions where we get peers in the industry, get to dig even deeper than we possibly could. In the meantime, let me introduce you to the main attraction of today's episode. My cat's done smashing my mic with his forehead. And that is the man behind the music of DOSMan Games, the most brash, you might even say brazen, defender of Silent Hill 2. I thought until my previous question, but now I don't know if that's what we were arguing about the other day. But regardless, whatever the debate was about that we can't remember, it was enough to get us our own chat channel in the Discord, so, it must have been a pretty big deal. I gave you none other than Brazenscull.
Yay!
Scully. Welcome.
Welcome.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, man. I don't have the guns this time. I could get them, but I'm just not going to worry about it.
Got
Okay.
him right there, don't you?
Yeah.
We'll pop this baby open.
All right.
That was a visceral sound effect.
Yes.
Let's
Yeah.
get
Moving.
Right. Yeah. Coming in to save the day, since we had some other folks lined up, and we're more than happy to have you as our consolation prize.
No, I'm proud to be there around
I
the
can't-
study. Thank you.
exactly remember, but were you the one that I was talking with in, was it Zlem's stream, maybe?
I believe
Was it Melancholy's stream of Reaper?
Yes. I mean, I frequent
You-
both of them.
did you-
It's
You did the Jester character, right? Or did you
Yes.
voice that character? Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so
I
yeah, it
voiced
was
the
you.
Jester and Reaper. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is the creepy
We talked in that.
character
That's
in
right.
all of Reaper. Seriously,
Yeah.
that is a nightmare character with a big smile on the face and comes to
I love it.
your stuff.
It was actually
yeah.
one of my favorite ones, so it
Excellent.
was
I'm
just always
glad.
funny every time he popped up. Peekaboo.
Peekaboo.
Like, where's he
Yeah,
at? Where's he at?
It's
Kind
like
of just, I lent into Mark Hamill's Joker for it because he's got that
Yeah.
that's bad kind of
Yeah.
voice to him. So yeah, just tried to mimic that.
you should go into voice acting as well as music if that's the case. Then, so I know that you do some playtesting for DOSMan as well.
Mm.
So, for our information and for the information of the viewers at home that are watching, why don't you just give us a bit of a background on your experience with music, how you came to do music for video games and playtesting as well?
The incredible thing is, I have absolutely, up until I joined Sam in DOSMan Games, I had absolutely no experience with music whatsoever.
Really?
At the time, Sam was making games from the ground up. He was looking into some music software to start making the music with, and he discovered something called Rhythmic Studio. And he showed it to me. It was 20 quid. He showed me what it was capable of, and I thought, holy crap, I studied music production many, many years ago and hadn't touched it since. I thought, well, this might be the tool that gets me into it. This might be my avenue back in. And what I hadn't really considered was that over those years, I had kind of delved in and out of music theory and music composition theory without really taking it anywhere. And somewhere in the back of my head, I'd memorized everything I'd learned from those lessons and from the keyboard lessons and the theory lessons. I got this software in front of me, I started making music, and I was like, oh, apparently I can make music. Apparently I know how to compose. I've learned something about myself. So it's incredibly strange. Like, the history was completely fragmented, and I've never compose music for anything else in my life until I just tried and started throwing tracks at Sam, going, "Do you want this one? Have it. Do you want this one? Have it. Do you want this one? Have it." And yeah, they ended up going in the game. So yeah, very fragmented history there.
Yeah, well, you're not the first person that we've had on that's done music that had no experience with it as well. Cultic's developer, Jason Smith, and the soundtrack to Cultic, I think, is one of the best video game soundtracks ever.
Superb.
So I was really genuinely shocked, and he was like, "Yeah, I've never made music before. I just do it until it sounds right." I was like, "Wow." Scully, how did you and Sam actually meet?
Well, it's as you may know, Sam was one of the original founders of E1M1 magazine, and my first introduction to Sam was actually when I was invited to join the magazine, and that was when I sent him. They were asking for writers. I sent him a review of Arthurian Legends, and
Nice.
I think that was a good choice because I didn't realize how much he was enjoying Arthurian Legends in particular at the time of submitting that review. So I think it was quite fortuitous that we shared a lot of the same opinions of it, which is that it's absolutely great. And I guess he liked the review enough to invite me on board. And for a very, very long time, I didn't have a huge amount of conversation with him outside of keeping it strictly professional. You know, he'd ask for certain articles to come in or where they were or things like that. It was pretty hands-off. But around about the time that E1M1 folded and Reload came together, I joined him and Melancholy Geek, who you've had on. Shout out, by the way, Melancholy Geek, good man.
What?
We'll talk about him later on, you'll see.
Oh, okay. Bit scared. But yeah, we decided we've never met. Let's meet up. We'll go to NQ64, the lovely arcade bar in Camden, and we'll all meet each other. And I think we were there for about 4 or 5 hours. Me and Sam were the last people on the subway home left before we went our separate ways. And I think we left that underground station knowing that we were going to be really, really close mates.
Yeah.
And that's what we are. Like, for us, it started off professionally, but now, especially with DOSMan, it really is just two really, really close friends delving into a hobby together. And it'll always be that first. It'll always be friends first, professional interests second for us.
That's nice. So what's the process when it comes to you making music for a DOSMan game? Does Sam come to you with the game and say, "I need the music," or how does the process work?
Do you know what? We kind of play it by ear because now that we're publishing so many games as well as developing our own internally, some developers will have their own music or they've composed their music or sourced their own. Others might not. Others we turn around to and say, like, "We've got a composer here. Would you like to see what they can do?" So it really does depend on who we've got on board, who we're publishing, and how far along in their music journey they are. Reverend was an incredible opportunity because when
shout out to
Sam,
Emil.
Emil is like, he's an absolute gentleman. He's just like a more like Scandinavian Sam, and that's what more could you want? Yeah, absolute pleasure to be around Emil, and shout out to him too because he's just a great guy. But yeah, when they brought Reverend to
Emil.
us, yeah, who wouldn't, like, right? You know, he's just so easy to get on with.
Yeah.
But I think he came to us with Reverend. I think there was some music in the game at the time, but when I approached him and said, like, "I don't want any pay, I don't want anything for it, I just believe in Reverend and I want to be a part of it. If you need some ambient music, let me create some ambient music for you." And God bless the guy, he let me do it. He let me go ahead with it, and I'm forever grateful to him for that because, as you know, Reverend is absolutely beloved, and he was so satisfied with the soundtrack, and it was just such a great opportunity to provide it.
Yeah. When people talk about DOSMan, the game that they always seem to mention is Reverend. I think that's probably the game that kind of really launched the company into public consciousness. So it is a fantastic game.
Yeah,
That just won some kind of award too, didn't it?
Did it?
Yeah. I saw Emil posted
I think
something.
so,
I can't remember the contest or like the context of that, but I do remember it won something like not a viewer's choice or something like that. Some type of
I know it was
voted
in
upon.
a,
So,
I know
that's
it was
pretty
in a horror game showcase recently, and
Something
look at me,
like-
the
yeah.
spokesman for the company. I can't even bloody tell you what the award was, but yeah, it's
There's just
it has-
so many at this point. We're losing track. So.
yeah, and I go, another award, bloody hell, where are you going to put this one, Emil? But yeah, it's definitely picked up in people are starting to notice it again recently, and I think the awards and the ceremonies are a big part of that.
Nice. Are you involved in Reverend 2?
Yes and no. With
Can you talk about it?
I can. All I can tell you is that it's coming. All I can tell you is that what you already know, which is that it's coming.
Yeah.
And Emil has not approached me for anything Reverend 2 related yet. He has mentioned in passing that he may call upon me again in the future. Whether that's Reverend 2 or some secret crazy project he's got going on in the background, I don't know. But I'm confident that he and I will work together again.
Yeah. It must be a great guy to work with. He is very likable. He's just kind of very upfront and just happy to get along with people, you know. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to Emil quite a bit. I'm pretty excited for a lot of the things that he's got going on.
Yeah, me too.
makes you wonder what he's going to go on to. If Reverend was the start of what he's doing, kind of what the end game, how his games are going to look in like 5 years or something.
I can't say much, but I know he's going to be doing some pretty cool stuff. I think he's going to keep elevating from where he's at now. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's without wanting to give too much away. That's kind of what I was about to reveal. Yeah, he's going to do some impressive stuff.
Yeah,
be Pope someday, Reverend, Cardinal,
yeah,
Archbishop,
Pope Emil.
Hey, I'd follow him.
Title. Yeah.
We'll be your Vatican, bro.
Do you have? I don't know if you can even answer the question. Do you have a favorite DOSMan game?
I do. Like, I can say this, because I'm completely open with Sam about it.
Yeah.
Like, he knows as well. My favorite game is Flash of the Blade X. I think, for me, as ambitious as something like Reaper was, something about Flash of the Blade is so concise and so beautifully paced that by the time I've finished that game in the hour or the hour and a half it takes to complete it, I'm just like, my brain is like, I'm 100% satisfied.
Yeah.
The pacing was bang on. The combat is impactful and swift. If I just want a quick burst of game to get me through an afternoon, I can rely very wholeheartedly on Flash of the Blade X.
Yeah.
But what I will say is a game that we haven't announced yet might just dethrone that.
Oh, okay then. I know. Sam mentioned something about a secret project in there that he couldn't talk about yet. I'm
pretty sure this is a project that I'm also very in the know about.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk afterwards, Forge. We'll talk afterwards.
Yeah.
Sounds like somebody's voice.
If it's what I think it is, then I think you might be right.
Yeah. I'm totally looking forward to Dead Trash, though. I said on Reddit that the games that are developed in-house have a very kind of clean look to it. The games that they publish have a very grimy look to it. Like Reverend, Satan, Dead...
Yeah.
They have that
pretty
griminess.
consistent.
Yeah. Like,
Reverend, Satan, Dead Trash. Yeah. It's kind of like... Yeah.
I promise it's not deliberate. It just happened to be that way.
Yeah. Flash of the Blade X is the only one that I haven't had the opportunity to finish. Mainly because...
I think...
No, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. No, you're good.
When I did play it, it's because Sam was asking me to test the game, so I was talking about, like, if I was going through walls and stuff like that. So I played it on my laptop on the bed while I was messaging him on Discord as well, just kind of... So I never played it as a player, I just kind of played it, to help out Sam. But it is one of those ones that every time I see it, I'm like, you know what, I gotta do that. I gotta play Flash and Blade X again.
Yeah.
Let me play.
I did a lot of
Satan.
testing. I did a lot of testing on Flash Blade X as well.
Yeah.
And I will say, sorry, Forge, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I was going to say, I will say, like, when you test a game for very, very long, it can, not through the fault of the game itself, but it can kind of sour the experience when you actually do sit down to play it properly.
Yeah.
Because you've spent so long analyzing it from a testing perspective that it can no longer surprise you.
Yeah.
And that can be quite deflating because, and I've spoken to Sam about this before, I've tested his games multiple times, and I think the reason that I favour some games over others is that they've been in development for a short period of time, and I haven't had the time to become so familiar with them that they become perhaps a little bit dull.
Yeah.
So I totally get why you might want to have a gap between the playtesting period and the actual playing for fun period.
Flash Blade X was an interesting scenario for me because I had actually bought the game before he did the whole overhaul of it. and I played it, and I liked it, and I enjoyed the game, and I actually was planning on making a video on the game around the time that he messaged me about the overhaul, and I was like, oh, yeah, hell yeah, I'll play it, yeah, you know. But I remember one prominent thing that he did end up changing that, I mean, absolutely just fucked with my eyes, was at the very beginning of the game when you go into that one building that's multiple stories tall, and it was all the same texture, and the texture kind of bled into each other. And I played it, and I went through it again, and I was like, maybe I'm just maybe it's late or something, and it's just I'm tired. Played it again, I was like, okay, no. I was like, this is it's all going together, and it's fucking with my eyes. So I talked to him about it, and then he ended up just throwing a different texture in here and there, and it instantly fixed the problem. It was just it was weird. It was like I was getting almost nauseous just running through that building. Yeah, it was weird. I'd never really experienced that before, but it was cool that he could mess with that, because I was like, I was like, I don't know if it's a big deal or whatever, but it was cool that he was able to be able to do some stuff like that though, and change some things and all that.
Get that instant feedback.
I have something for you.
Want to support your favorite Boomer Shooter podcast? Well, tough luck, because we're all you've got. Visit the Quad Damage affiliate store for the most bangin', most boomin', most please give us your money stores on the internet. Well, Amazon anyway. Only available in the US because we're too lazy to set it up for any other country.
Our guest has 1 minute to answer 10 randomly generated questions, including the trick question that we threw in there.
Okay, I like.
Yeah, and the trick question isn't always related to Robert, but sometimes it is.
I have no idea how that happens. It does sometimes.
I'm just even more confused by that explanation.
The questions are always really funny though, because in being randomly generated, sometimes it's the most random shit ever, and then sometimes it's existential questions about the meaning of life, and then sometimes it's just a combination of all of that. Yeah, it's really weird. But anyway. So, let's get the show on the road.
Let's do it.
So, number one, do you enjoy people watching? No context. Do you enjoy people watching?
What, people watching me do things, or do I enjoy watching
emphasize
people?
those words to mean the exact opposite of that question.
I don't know. There's no context there, okay?
Okay, A, it depends what I'm doing, and B, yes.
Oh, wow.
All right. How would a random stranger describe you? And
hairy.
How accurate would that be?
Hairy, and they'd be incredibly accurate.
Oh, God, okay. What's the strangest thing you've ever found?
I once saw a man just randomly climb out of a dumpster. I mean, I don't know if that counts as being found, but it was definitely a discovery.
Well, yes. Works for me. Oh, God. Okay. What is something that you find mildly annoying, but not annoying enough to do anything about it?
Oh, man. How weird is this? If something irritates me, I want to repair it. I want to fix it. My cat. My cat's irritating, but I'm not going to do anything about that because I love him.
Oh, it's fair. That's fair. That's just part of being a cat owner.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was my cat 5 minutes ago, and he would stop grinding his whiskers.
I saw he's got gorgeous markings, by the way. When he climbed up on your shoulder, he's a real regal-looking cat.
He'll be happy to hear because he is ancient, so he's probably the whites of his hair falling out that has created this exact. So, yeah, he's a good boy.
Of all the things you've bought in your life, what has been the worst purchase?
The worst purchase? Oh, Flash of the Blade X. No. No.
Starting some shit.
The worst purchase? Probably an iWatch. I've got an Apple iWatch, and I have found absolutely no beneficial use for the sodding thing whatsoever.
You know, fun fact with the watch, it makes, in the last report that I saw, it made $4 billion in revenue, which is as much as YouTube makes, just from people buying stuff for that watch. Absolutely crazy.
Disgraceful.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. and it's still useless.
Yeah, the day my wife sold
so
her
I was
Apple Watch
actually-
was one of the greatest days of my life. I was like, can we please stop pretending like the thing is not just another version of the thing you already have in your pocket?
Right?
Right?
But more money.
But now it's on my wrist.
Yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
can't get away from it. Now I have another thing to fiddle with. And be like,
Yeah.
For anyone out there who hasn't seen an early episode of my other podcast on the whole worst purchases thing, I was going to add that I think the worst purchase I ever made after I moved out on my own was I spent $150 on Fortnite. And I don't mean Fortnite as in what you know Fortnite as now.
Right.
I mean Fortnite as
Save
the
the
base
world.
building single player
Yes,
co-op
yeah.
game before it was ever a battle royale, and it came with 3 other copies of the game and a bunch of extra crap, and I gave
Yeah.
every other copy of the game to friends, which means they got it for free.
Yeah.
Played it with a bunch of people, had a blast, but I definitely regret that $150.
No, it's
Yeah,
back when
I
Epic
could-
was
Wasn't
giving
that what-
away games instead of taking them away.
Yeah. So, who is someone you need to contact that you haven't?
Someone I need to contact who I haven't. A dentist. I'm well overdue. I'm not doing much for the British stereotype of having crap teeth, am I? It's like, that's...
I
Oh,
wasn't gonna
fucking
say
hell.
anything.
Sorry, guys, I've let us down.
Yeah.
What is the most unique cloud you've ever seen in the sky?
What sort of
Most
question?
unique cloud.
I know, it's just they're randomly generated. Some of them are just dog shit questions. I'm sorry.
The most unique
Was it a
cloud...
Nimbus?
It wasn't a Nimbus, but the formation of the cloud seemed to spell out, I am death, destroyer of worlds. That was quite peculiar.
Oh Lord, was it a bit hot around that area?
It was
Jesus.
very hot. The sky was a fiery red, and some dogs were howling in unison on the street corner. It was very peculiar.
Good Lord, man.
That was my drive this morning.
I said that about every time I come here. Literally, every time I come towards my hometown, the skies get darker. It's just like descending into hell.
Maybe you shouldn't be coming that far, you know?
I
Maybe-
live
maybe
near
that's the issue.
Windsor. I live near
Or that
Windsor.
hard.
You'd think that it would be a nice area to come to, but no, the area is not.
Heard this about Windsor. Like I know you have this idea that it's going to be this regal, wonderful place, and most people there are like, no, it's a shithole.
It's not. It's just
It's-
literally it's the castle with some streets around it and a
Yeah.
river, and that's
Yeah.
Windsor. Every shop is royal themed or something, and it just I go there to speak with my clients, and then I go home. There's nothing touristy about it other than the fake tourism they do that's royal family related.
Precisely.
You can interchange it with any other historical town in the UK. It just happens to have a famous castle there.
Exactly.
And goddamn King Charles has cut me off in traffic twice now. Twice, that motherfucker. Seriously, his bloody police escort. They stop the roads and you gotta sit there like a goddamn peasant.
Who the fuck does he think he is? Royalty?
I know. Yeah, sorry, Deadforge, I interject.
As if that means anything anymore. What did you learn from the last book you read?
How to manage attention deficit disorder. Actually, that's a proper answer that time. Yeah,
Man.
been reading up on a book called Smart But Stuck, which is about intelligent people struggling and looking stupid because they have ADHD and methods to get around that. Highly recommend it.
Nice.
What's the biggest wager you've ever made?
I can't quite answer that. What I will say is that I once went to the dog track for a friend's birthday, and I very quickly learned never to gamble because I bought 50 quid. I bet on every single dog that was available on that night, and I didn't win a single thing. So that's probably the biggest wager I've lost.
Listen, I bought one lottery ticket for $1 and lost my dollar, and I never did it again.
Yeah.
So,
Shit cuts deep, bro.
Well, that's a good way of managing gambling, though, isn't it? I was in a casino in Spain.
Yeah.
Paid my money, lost my money, won it back, and I got the fuck out of there. As long as you break even or you haven't lost too much, then you're gambling responsibly.
Probably the
worked
best way to go about it.
Yeah.
I worked in a bookies for about 2 or 3 years, and when you see just what happens to people who lose everything, the way they
know.
react,
Oh, yeah.
and
I know.
like you don't want to go down that path.
Yeah. Did the same
So
stuff.
for the question to end all questions,
Mm.
if Sam hired Hans Zimmer to score the next DOSMan game, would you feel honored or screwed over?
Oh, no, I'd feel pretty honored. I'd feel, and honestly, more than anything, I'd just be happy for Sam in that he could secure Hans Zimmer to do a soundtrack, and I want to see. He's my best friend. He's basically my husband. I want to see him succeed, you know. So I'd be like, Sam, you know what? Do not blame you. You go get Zimmer in there.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest with you. It would be insane to have someone like Hans Zimmer on like a bite-sized boomer shooter game.
Yeah.
It would just be crazy.
I know
It'd be cool, but it'd be crazy.
The reason why I put that question there was I found out yesterday that Hans Zimmer did the theme for Crisis. I was like,
Yes.
what? I was like, what?
Okay.
He
Hans
did
Zimmer?
theme for like a lot of shit.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't know he worked in video games. I thought that it was movies and TV shows and stuff like that.
Yeah. Didn't he do didn't he do some music for like Elder Scrolls or something at some point?
Oh, that
Could
would
be
a
wrong
good
on
fit.
that. But
Yeah,
I feel like it's very much possible. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but so I could fact check that. I know he's
Cam?
probably worked on a few games, I think.
Which
'Cause I
one
feel
were you
like I've
looking
heard
for?
of him in the games industry in more than one occasion.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that's the rapid fire round then. We always say that it lasts 1 minute, and guess what? It doesn't last. It's 1 minute. This is why I
Sounds
started
like we
putting.
should stop saying 1 minute.
This is why I've started putting the trick question at the end, because it's a trick question. People tend to talk more. That's the one that trips people up and makes it go over a minute. So it's. I think I'll keep doing that going forward then. Well, thanks for joining us.
The good
today.
news is that it incites conversation.
Exactly.
In fact, I have a follow-up question.
So wait, hold on. Before we continue on that, Hans Zimmer composed the main theme for Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which is
Sorry
great
to
for
hear that.
them, terrible for him.
Yay!
Oh yeah. He composed for Modern Warfare 2, and that was his first ever video game composition, along with another guy. And then I think he even did something for Skylanders, the game. And he apparently also composed in FIFA 19, so for whatever reason.
FIFA 19.
That's what it says, yeah.
Yeah, so Scully, expect
see
that
that
call
imposed.
from EA sometime soon, yeah?
I'm going down a rabbit hole, okay? He also did Lego Batman 3.
Yeah?
He did Lego Pirates of the Caribbean. He did the Simpsons game.
How do you get Hans Zimmer and
what
say,
do
yeah, do Lego for us?
Yeah, I was
Well,
going to say,
if
what do you think he's most
and-
proud
notice
of? Do
yeah,
you reckon
Crisis
it might be one of the
2,
Lego
yeah.
games?
If
Sorry,
you'll notice,
maybe
too,
Crisis
he's
1 and 2.
often co-composing with people, so it's not like he's the only one.
Yeah,
They
it's
were
not. He's
with
not
a
doing the
lack
entire
of this-
composition.
Yeah.
Pretty much
Fucking Lego.
every single thing he's composed has been alongside someone else.
Maybe it's
He
Yeah,
a
doesn't have a
Rise-
rise.
single. I don't think he has a single
Common.
composition that's solely him.
Yeah, maybe it's a
Um,
rise of the Rise of the Machines fighting game situation, like with Brian May. You get
Yeah.
3 chords out of
He's
him,
also-
and then you get to put his name on.
He
the-
also
on
did
the cover.
Beyond Two Souls as well.
You know, he started
He did a
off
shit
doing.
ton of Skylanders stuff.
He started off doing music for game shows, Going for Gold specifically. Hans
He
Zimmer.
did Going for Gold.
He did Going for Gold. Gold.
wow.
He did that, yeah.
What a storied history.
I know.
Wow.
I know. Yeah.
Here's a good one. Y'all may get a kick out of this. Apparently, he helped Shirley, if it's a lady, I don't know if that can be a man's name, Shirley Walker on the Batman Mask of the Phantasm animated movie soundtrack. He was like a secret ingredient where he gave some tips to that. So that's cool.
That's what it is.
Oh well,
That movie
Oh,
is
he's
great.
Yeah, he's been on a lot. He's like, I mean, he does a lot of movies, and
Yeah.
I've noticed that he's in a lot of animated stuff as well.
Yeah. So speaking of music, then going back to DOSMan Games, Sam. So does
From
he?
us.
Does Sam give you something like? Does he tell you what to do, or is it just like free reign or something?
Sam's really good in that while he's developing a game and while he's even going through like the design process of a game, he'll let me know what he's thinking, what he wants this game to look like. So already I can conjure an image in my head of just what kind of music he's wanting. And sometimes I'll get way ahead of the curve and I'll throw a piece of music at him and say, "Hey, I practiced. What do you think of this?" And he'll say, "Perfect," or he'll say, "Let's put it in this direction." But again, because we're such close friends, it's very, very easy for us to know exactly what the other person is thinking. So while I didn't have time to do the soundtrack to Flash of the Blade X, for example, I did want to have a go at the theme tune. I'd never tried anything Oriental before or anything, any sort of period music before.
Huh.
So at the very least, before he even had an opportunity to ask, I said, "Here, have some menu music if you want it." And yeah, he did want it, and he did like it, and he put it in, and he was very pleased with it. So yeah, it really is. We're just fortunate enough to know each other well that we can just fly by the seat of our pants and just make it up as we go along, confident that we're going to create what the other person wants.
Yeah, Sam seems to be a lot like that. You just kind of be like, "Hey, I'll do this thing," and then boom, he's like, "Oh, actually that'll work pretty good." I like that about Sam.
I think that's kind of what. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say it was, because it was really cool of him letting me do some voice acting in Reaper. So it was
I had some big names in it that did. I was very shocked when I saw that voice list.
Yeah, it was
really
it was funny that he got Dave Oshry, because I played through the game pretty early on, and I went through it again and again, and Zlims was great. Like it was really funny. And then like Oshry, I had a feeling that it was Oshry, right? And literally, when I was talking to Sam, I was thinking to myself, I was like, there is no way in hell that that's Dave Oshry. And then he's like, "No, yeah, it is actually Dave." And I was like, "Oh shit, you got Dave? Okay, that's cool." But no, there was a star-studded cast there. Yeah.
Sam's really cool like that in that he will there is a part of him that really likes to get a star-studded cast in or get big names in. But he's also really, really, the whole ethic of DOSMan is that it's just people, hobbyists, getting together, being creative and making what they want. So however many big name people he'll get on a project, he'll always be looking out for the little guy and the person who just wants to create and just wants to be an independent. And he's it's so even-handed, just the fact that he can get these big names in, but he never loses sight of what DOSMan Games is about, which is anyone can make a game,
Would you make a game?
I'm in the middle of a number of soundtracks at the moment, but I have said to Sam, at some point, wind down the soundtracks a little bit, because I've been talking to him for years about this game that I've had an idea for. He's probably sick of hearing it because I've had fuck all to show for it. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that as long as DOSMan keeps going, there will be a game from Brazenscull eventually.
Ooh.
We should all make games and submit them to DOSMan.
Let's all do it. Yeah.
I could never do.
I'm hoping to. I was actually talking on someone else's podcast last night, and I was talking about how I'm hopefully gonna get back to working on my game, soon. Hopefully.
What are you making?
It's on the
if you can
list.
reveal. What is
I'm working on
an
an easy FPS editor type game. It's zombie related, which if you know anything about me, that's pretty obvious thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
zombies are good
but that's really all there is to it for the moment. That I can really talk about.
Medium. What would you make?
Still trying to find my footing, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm thinking too, because I'm not the most technically savvy person in the world. I wonder if I want to go for something that's more like atmospheric, kind of like where tone takes the lead. Maybe more like a horror, maybe not a walking sim per se, but something a little bit more linear and first person and
so you wouldn't do a
tone-based.
shooter?
I mean, if my dreams were just things I could just bring to life and go do that, yeah, probably. But if it requires motion and me to be critical of how good that motion is and the feel and everything, I'd probably get a little lost in the weeds. But yeah, it's not something I've ever dabbled with. I can imagine it'd be pretty intimidating to pick up and learn.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what I'd make.
intuition.
I'd probably make a modern reboot of Hexen because no other fucker's doing it. So, well, no. Bastards. What do you?
I do. If you,
yeah.
sorry. I was gonna say, have you tried Hands of Necromancy?
I bought it. I got the first one. I haven't got the second. I played like the first 15 minutes. But I've mentioned on previous podcasts, I'm making an effort to get through my Steam backlog instead of becoming a collector of games. You know, I want to be an actual player of games. So
Yeah.
I downloaded a particular group of ones and I'm working my way through them. I got to finish Fear 3 and then I'm on to Hands of Necromancy after that.
If I can give you some advice, you don't have to finish Fear 3.
I know. I was playing it yesterday, and I'm like, everyone shits on this game because it's not a Fear game, and I'm like, I'm enjoying it just on its own terms, just like I enjoyed Fear 2 on its own terms. But it
Yes.
absolutely does not feel like it lives up to the iconicness of the first game. So I'm trying to divorce myself from comparing it to the first and just enjoying it for what it is. And it's a pretty decent shooter. It's just clearly a modern COD-style shooter with a Fear coat of paint on it.
Yeah,
I played one
that's
Fear
fair.
game, and that was Fear 2, and I hated it beyond belief. I think it's because, number one, I pretty much absolutely hate paranormal as a design concept, whether it is in movies or video games, as in the sense of just like being this, ooh, you know, spooky kind of ghost shit. Like, who gives a fuck? I don't give a fuck about no damn ghosts. Man, fuck, I'm damn, they're fucking Ghostbusters, man. Like, fuck that shit. You know, I'm just like, it's not really something that I like. I hate ghost movies. When it comes to like the horror genre, I could literally live without ever seeing another movie about a ghost or a haunted doll. Because they're just so unoriginal and
What about
terrible, every single one of them.
Ghost children. That may be the worst genre ever.
Yeah, that one's just as bad.
Because you can
You
always
know,
tell what they're
they're
going to
all
say
pretty
next.
terrible.
Like,
There's only one haunted doll, like, ghost movie that I enjoyed, and that was Dead Silence.
What about
and
Child's
yeah,
Play?
You know,
Dead Silence is good.
I fucking hate Chucky. I've always hated Chucky, man.
Yeah,
I've
Chucky
always
was
hated
fucking
Child's
chode.
Play. I've always found it to be such a... I mean, I get why people like whatever, serial killer
Disrespect
trapped in a
is
doll's
real.
body, whatever, and all this shit, but it's like, it's just never been something that interested me, because it's like, oh, a little doll thing, like, whatever, he's crazy with a knife, and I'm like, yeah, I just fucking punt his bitch ass across the fucking room,
yeah.
rip his head off, and
suck
just
the
like
kid
put
in
his
the
head,
head.
bury him
Somebody
in a bunch of
assassinate
locations, and like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, oh my god, what was that I just heard? Oh, he opened the door? Now he's stabbing me in the shower? What the hell? No. I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, I've never liked that at all. That's why I didn't watch, was it like Annabelle and like all that crap?
The
I've never liked
Conjuring
that.
universe.
So, yeah, and when I played Fear 2, which I don't know, maybe I'd like it if I went back, right? But when I played Fear 2, like the whole beginning thing is just like, ooh, spooky ghost shit, and I'm like,
how you
yeah,
picked,
I don't
the
like
least
this.
scary one to be like, ugh, too much ghost shit.
Yeah,
It's like a fucking mech second than that, or like a exoskeleton where you
Yeah.
shoot like energy monsters. And you're like, ugh.
It's literally how you
Ghosty.
start Fear 2's DLC in a fucking mech suit.
yeah. But then it's
What
like,
is all
it's
this
funny because like,
fucking
I mean,
atmosphere, bro.
I love something like Murdered Soul Suspect, where you play as a ghost who's just investigating things. But it's it's a little different. Because when it comes to horror, I absolutely despise the ghost thing. So it's like, when that's just there, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really interested at all.
Yeah.
Maybe if I gave the game a couple more hours. I mean, this has been like more than 10 plus years ago that I played this. So
Yeah.
or whatever, something like that. Long
Maybe
time
you're a
ago.
different man.
Give it another
maybe
go.
I'd like it
you,
more.
you
I
never
don't
know.
know.
You never know. But changing gears
mean,
then.
I played a game called Enslaved: Odyssey to the West. Rented it from Redbox many years ago, and for some reason it didn't really click with me. And I only had a day to play it or something.
Team Ninja.
So I think I was rushing it or something, and it just didn't click with me. And it was a game for like, ever since it released until now, everyone I know is like, dude, this is a very you kind of game. And I'm always like, well, I just didn't click with it. I don't know. They're like, no, this is like this is a you kind of game. And like my sister got it for me last year on Steam. It was on sale or something. And then earlier today, I booted it up on Steam, and yeah, I like it quite a bit. So
Nice.
it's one of those weird things that sometimes it depends on the scenario in the point in time that you played something, that might affect your, enjoyment of it.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I think it's about time we get Scully back in the mix with a viewer's question.
I have something for you.
You ever been in the right place but wearing the wrong thing? Ain't ever gonna happen again, brother, because you can now buy the sexiest apparel this side of a John Romero hair products line. Visit the Quad Damage Amazon merch store and get that shiz delivered on Prime.
Damn.
You're gonna look good.
I'm going to do the intro, but it's just going to sound weird when I read you the questions. So, viewers' questions. This is the segment of the show where we put to the guest the hard-hitting questions the public wants to know. This question is
shit.
This question is from Melancholy Geek, who I said we would. His question is, how are you such a wonderful person? What's your secret? Also, when are we having a beer again? Hard-hitting
To answer
question.
that, it's very hard hitting, yes, and surprisingly kind of Melancholy to not really put me on the spot. He could have unleashed chaos with that question, but he's just been so polite. I think to put the kindness back on Melancholy, I would say it's the company I keep, and that includes people such as Melancholy. And in returns, in terms of when we're next going to go and have a beer, my answer would be not soon enough. But it's hard because, of course, we live in two completely different countries, and it's oftentimes if Melancholy does come to the UK, it's because he's on a very time-limited visit because he wants to get something done. But if he ever does come down our way again, I would encourage, if you're watching this, Melancholy, I would encourage you to get in touch, because I'm not far from London. You're probably going to end up there at some point during your journey. We'll meet up. We'll go and have a pint.
That's cool. And then we'll
Love
see
you,
the
man.
photos on Twitter of the three of you just like absolutely plastered in Camden or something, lying on the
Yeah.
lying on the pavement outside.
Honestly, Melancholy he's the man. You know what I mean? He's been one of the #1 supporters of Quad Damage since the beginning.
Yeah.
He's been one of the realest, amazing people the entire time. And he's been nothing but a pleasure to meet, have on, talk with, and be in his stream from time to time. And he's just a great guy.
I can't overstate how much he's done for Reloaded E1M1 as well, back when that was still going. Like, he is an absolute rock, that man.
I concur.
I have something for you.
So we have this feature then where we ask the previous guest a question for the next guest.
Yeah.
Now that's
That's
not
how
gonna
that
work.
works.
Yeah. So we originally had someone else scheduled, and then that fell through. So we didn't do an episode last week, and then we had someone else scheduled for this one, and then that fell through. So we are 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon away from our previous guest questions now. So I reached out to them earlier, and I said, "This is the situation now. Do you have any questions for Scully?" So our previous guest, Mothership Loudspeakers, is saying, do you think DOSMan Games would ever move to a different game engine?
I think it's possible, and it is something that we have discussed previously. It's, we love EFP. We think it does speak very, very highly to the idea that anyone can make a game, and people who want to should. But yeah, there have been discussions about that potentially going forward. And I can say to you now that, for example, I was speaking about my idea for putting a game forward via DOSMan, and I've myself been looking at GZ Doom. So if I ever get proficient in that, it may well be that we one day publish a GZ Doom title. But absolutely do not rule that out. Put it that way.
Yeah, do build engine. Give me another build engine game.
Somebody recommended Build to me. Apparently, it's super easy to develop a game in Build, and I as somebody who knows very little about coding or game construction, that does appeal to me. Just to do something a little bit different, make something in build, and it is a nice engine as well.
Yeah, there's a whole subculture of GZ Doom, of course. It's a whole thing because the source code was released so long ago. Build engine and to a degree easy FPS editor are kind of subgenres within it. They're not as widespread, so I'd like to see more easy FPS games and more build engine games.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
Great.
If I get good at easy FPS editor, maybe I'll eventually move to build.
Good shout.
I'd love to. I would love to make a build engine game, and I'll tell you 100% why I would love to make a build engine game. The amount of interactivity that is possible in the build engine is one of the things that makes it so amazing, right?
Yeah.
It makes it such a great point in video games.
I need you to make a zombie gore dismemberment system and build for me. Make it extra crunchy.
Dude, I would love to figure out how the hell that would work. Yes.
If
I'd
Ion
do it.
Fury can do headshots in build engine, I'm sure that's something
It'll be
that
like-
you can.
Yeah, it'd be like Dead Island 2, but build engine, you know?
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Deadforge Island.
Deadforge Island, there you go.
I wouldn't mind seeing more
Into
FPS.
the Forge, if you did, yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing more. I never know how to pronounce it. Godot, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Godot, yeah.
More FPS games built in that. There's only one that I know of.
Yeah.
Abglint.
You're
Adams.
waiting for more Godot.
Yeah. I can't pronounce it. Abglint or something like that. I'll say-
Flats or
Yeah.
I know the one you mean.
It's built. It looks really cool. It looks really Quake-like, and yet
Yes.
it's a free game engine. How are more people not using this out there to do it? Yeah.
You know, a lot of developers, when the whole Unity thing happened, actually moved to Godot. But I do find it that like Unity and Godot are a lot more popular for 2D games than anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Godot is. I mean, it's becoming more popular, but I feel like it's not as popular as like Unity and Unreal. And I also kind of feel like Unreal, Unity, and Godot are all about the same from what I've seen as far as like learning how to use them. They're all pretty accessible and user friendly, but I think it just comes down to like preference in the end.
And so our other guest on the same episode as Mothership Loudspeakers, who developed Ghostware Arena of the Dead and Technoplasm, we had... oh, sorry. Thankfully, the echo cancellation will remove all of my coughs out of this. We also had Matt, who developed Echo Point Nova and Severed Steel. And his question was... I don't know if it's something that would be pertinent to yourself. What's your favorite thing about Easy FPS Editor?
Oh man. Honestly, it's the accessibility of it.
Yeah.
But not only the accessibility, but the fact that if you want to stretch it further, people have been doing so. And what you can do with that and the way you can push it further is actually incredibly interesting, incredibly exciting, because you've got this very, admittedly somewhat crude in places, video game editor, and then you look at what people who have really invested in the software are doing, and you look at the coding and the extra little things they've managed to squeeze out of it, and you realize, holy crap, when you really look into it, this is an incredibly capable editor. And it's got that wonderful thing about being incredibly easy to get into, but also incredibly versatile if you're willing to experiment with it, and that's grand.
Yeah, I feel like every time a new like DOSMan developed or DOSMan published game comes out, it's somehow like it's doing something that you didn't see in the prior game. So it's like each game is like, wow, I didn't think you could do that in this.
Yeah, and you'll see that in the new one that's coming out soon as well.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I shall say no more. But yeah, you will see more of that going forward.
Nice. We do have competition.
I have something for you.
So here's a fun thing, right? We're giving away code. Is it just one code for Satan, right?
It's another code for Satan, yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing I just want to say. Like, I still have to make a video because I got sick and all that. But I absolutely, and no offense, but I just don't like the name. I really don't. I feel like it's just so, it's so
generic.
simple. And
You're not the first
generic,
person to
yeah.
say it. Yeah, I know Zlim is.
but the ironic part about it is the name is so generic, and the game, in my opinion, is anything but.
I know, it's
Yeah.
a brilliant game.
The game is like pushing boundaries of easy FPS editor. It's super cool. It's really interesting. But yeah, the name, I'm just like, okay. 'Cause I remember when it was announced, I was like, that game looks amazing, but the name, I don't, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's still a cool game, but I just,
It is, yeah.
I feel like
I know there's
the name.
when he
Douches.
had the trailer on his showcase as well. Or was it his live stream? He said that
Zlim?
Zlim, yeah. He said that the name was really generic, and I remember being shocked at that when I heard him say it, because it was like we're all thinking it, right? But he said it out loud. So
Yeah, I mean, and no offense to the developer, but yeah.
No, and to be fair to Game Fruit, the dev, he actually, there was a period where he was thinking the same thing. I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. He's a pretty chill guy, but yeah, there was a period where he was asking himself the same thing, and I think the decision was that it had been wishlisted by so many people at that point. People already knew it as Satan. It was simple, it was effective, it had that whole retro FPS thing of just having one simple word as a title, and I think at the end of the day, as generic as it is, I think he made the right call by keeping it as simple as Satan, definitely.
Yeah. Well, the game speaks for itself, of course. Everybody loves the game. I've never heard a single negative thing about it. So title aside, the product is speaking for itself. So
Precisely.
I don't know what he'd name the sequel, though, if he made a sequel. Satan 2? This time it's personal? Well, I don't know.
Satan,
This time's personal.
yeah. Satan, Electric Boogaloo. Yeah.
Too hot, too Satan. Yeah.
Electric Boogaloo. Oh, goodness.
Cool.
Yes. Good old Satan. For my part, it's something I recently just finished. I just agree with everybody else. It's a lot of fun. It's basically if you just took all the best things about Blood and Doom and smushed them together and just made everything bigger and more offensive looking and even more fun to blow away. Yes. More satanic. So yeah, it's pretty fun. Same reason why Doom is fun is the same reason why this game is fun. You get to kill demons. A lot. So it's very simple. It's just one key, but you comment on this particular video with your favorite DOSMan game, and we'll enter you into the drawing. The way that Robert has been doing it has been sending out an email with that code to whatever email address is associated with your YouTube account. If that's not kosher, get in contact with us via our Twitter or a Blue Sky. If that's something you're like, maybe not. You can also include that message in your post if you like. My favorite DOSMan game is this, and if I win, please send it here or contact me here, something like that. Or you can just, like I say, if you want to get ahead of the game, Blue Sky or Twitter is where you want to contact us. Let us know, hey, that's not a good email anymore. Something like that.
And I should say,
comment
everyone
on the video and Satan could be yours.
Absolutely. Good luck to everyone. And I should say that we are still waiting for one person from the previous competition who won a Ghostware Arena of the Dead key, Hardened Metapod. So I have tried reaching out. I can't find Hardened Metapod anywhere, but if you're watching this video, reach out to us. I got a Ghostware key for you.
Come collect the key.
Peer pressure.
What can we expect from you in the future?
The most exciting thing for me is that Dead Trash will be the very first DOSMan game in which I'll be providing the entire soundtrack duty for.
Yeah.
So previously there was a split between like music that we'd sourced, or Sam would occasionally provide about 25% of the music, I'd say, on some of the previous releases. Dead Trash is going to be all me, and we are actually going to be releasing the soundtrack separately as well for people that want to buy that separately.
Sweet.
And I just want to give a huge shout out because of that to Sloran from Crow Hill Studios behind the game. Again, much like Emil, he was kind enough to give me the opportunity when I offered to create that soundtrack. He's been really forthcoming, really honest with his feedback, and really encouraging. And yeah, it's big shout out to him, because without his approval, I'd never have had that opportunity.
Yeah, nice. Is DOSMan in the game? Is he like literally hidden away in all of DOSMan's games? Every time I open a wall or something and I hear, "Hey, you found me!
You found me! You found me!"
Because that would be so funny, because he's such a family-friendly character to see him in a game like Dead Trash, just hidden away in there somewhere. But
Do you know what? I think that needs to be discussed. I don't know if he's been. I don't know from the development side of things if he's been put in the game yet, and if he hasn't, how we're going to go around doing that.
I haven't found him in Satan yet.
No, I don't think he is in Satan.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a presence, and I think we've kind of relaxed the rule about other devs putting DOSMan in. But if we ever develop a game internally, like he'll always be in there.
So
you know.
Just so you guys know, if you need someone to replace DOSMan, just put Deadforge and everything. Okay?
Deadforge. Okay.
Just put my icon in everything, and I'll give you a voice line, and you just put me in all your games.
I will let Sam know.
Somewhere.
I'll pass it on.
Yeah, or like there's a hidden room aside, and then you go into it, and it's the three of us in a room recording a podcast or something.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That would be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
If you just go, you find a secret room. There's just a table there. You got me, Medium, Robert just sitting at a table.
It's just us trying to get the timing right on the intro and the outro
we're all
over and
pointing
over.
at each other or something.
You just see Robert, a cyborg zombie, and a werewolf at a table. You know, it sounds like a really bad joke.
No, that would be awesome.
I might have to put it in the game if I ever make one, but I will warn you now, 80% of the sprite will be Robert's dick.
Yeah.
There's not even a table. That's it.
Oh,
No.
Lord.
In fact, you follow it and it leads you to the secret. It's like breadcrumbs.
Sweet. The reason why I
It's just
said it is
the
that
electrical cables in a game, the source to the power box. You're like, where's the
in Satan, you know, you can find the secret hidden priests, and they give you a power buff. Like in the other DOSMan games, I was going to suggest, you know, if you find DOSMan, maybe he gives you a power buff. Because at the moment, he just says, "You found me," but he doesn't actually kind of just to incentivize the secret hunting to find him. You know, that he gives you some sort of buff. So it's
maybe
Sam,
the real
I know
power
you're
ups
gonna
of the
watch.
friends you made along the way, Robert.
So
Of course he is, yeah.
Yeah. Sheesh.
What?
You know, I
What?
actually wanted to say that, like, DOSMan, the game, there's something, because, like, I think Reaper is probably my favorite.
Of
I
course,
just really
I
like
wonder
the
why.
feel and the vibe and everything of that.
And the sound of your
Yeah,
voice.
because I'm involved. No, that's not it. It's just really good, okay? No, it's actually really trippy to hear your own voice when you're playing a game. But, because I'm like, wait, that's really cool.
Me.
But, no, I like Reaper because
fuck.
it was, like, very Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Monty Python kind of like vibe going on. But DOSMan is probably like potentially between that and Reverend as my like second favorite. Because DOSMan is just like it's probably the simplest of all the games, but it has so much character.
Yeah.
And I love the like cartoony art style. It's just a really, really fun game.
Yeah, the development of that was fun to watch as well because he injected so much of himself into it. But especially, you know, you've got all those conversation pieces where you go into DOSMan Village and you speak to people there, and like there are so many in jokes in that like, you know, there's a character name that gets referenced frequently in that. And I remember saying to Sam during production, like, I want to know more about this character that we never see, but every other character knows about. I just love this these contextual breadcrumbs that you're dropping, and there's a lot of just really humble humor in it, and that's a big
really
hit for
surprised
me.
me when there was like the text boxes and like interaction, because Satan also has that, right? There's a couple people you can talk to, but when I saw it in DOSMan, I was like, damn, I didn't even know you could do that. It just like completely threw me off. I was like, that's really cool. And I remember telling Sam, and I even said it in my video, but the main little hub area, like that you go back to a lot, reminds me so much of like a town in Pokemon.
That's exactly what he was going for.
Yeah. That was really, it was funny because you go to meet the professor, and I'm like, oh, am I going to get a Pokemon now?
I never made that correlation. There is a professor.
Yeah. And even like just the music there. Did you do the music for the town?
Yeah, I
the theme. Yeah, it sounds like a Pokemon theme kind of thing going on. It's just so upbeat and, you know, kind of like.
I was really proud of that one because I actually just took the theme tune from the main title screen. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah.
It's the exact same melody from the theme tune. I just made it more quiet and humble. And
Yeah.
despite the fact that it's
more,
just me,
it's more
Reese,
melodic.
Yeah, it was just me recycling work, but I quite liked that it kept it thematic, and I'm proud of that one.
Yep. It really changes like it's the whole the peaceful, safe atmosphere of that location until eventually it isn't anymore. And that's always a fun twist.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
I liked it quite a bit. It was, what was it? What's the game? Blake Stone was a pretty big comparison point, right?
Yeah.
I completely like Blake Stone completely skipped my mind when I was making my video, because I remember I was writing the script and I was like, what's that game that it's like it's a lot like. But then I couldn't come to Blake Stone, so I just compared it to Wolfenstein, because it has like majority of the time it's like very low ceilings inside and everything. But then when you go outside, it's a little bit more open. But for the most part, there's a lot of low ceilings. And it made me feel like that kind of claustrophobic Wolfenstein feel.
Well, Blake Stone's definitely like a Wolfenstein clone anyway.
Yeah.
It's the same engine, isn't it?
Speaking of Wolfenstein, what's that that Wolfenstein adjacent kind of game that recently came out?
Darkenstein or something?
Oh, Only Lead Can Stop
No,
Them?
not
maybe?
Only
Oh, Only Lead can. Yeah. Only Lead.
Only Lead
Only
Can
Lead Can
Stop
Stop.
Them.
Yeah.
Oh,
That looks really
Even
good,
the thing
actually.
is like
It
this.
looks really good.
It's literally
Yep.
a recreation of it, which obviously your mind is meant to make that connection to selling. So I heard it's really good though.
Yeah, it looks really good. I think I would like that more than what the hell is that game called? That other
Darkenstein.
that other game that's kind of well known for being Wolfenstein-like. Not that. Project Warlock. Project Warlock.
Oh, yeah.
What? Project
That
Warlock
one.
is awesome. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I like Project Warlock a lot. Yeah.
Can't wait for
I like it.
lost
I
levels
also
or
kind of
what's that?
don't like it. I'll say the reason I probably don't like it is because I got it on like a hardcore sale on my Switch, which Quake works beautifully on Switch, which is what I actually beat Quake for the first time on was Switch. But Project Warlock plays pretty shit on Switch. Like the movement and everything is so off, and the aiming is off, and it just doesn't feel right. So I feel like it probably plays the best on PC more than likely.
I've never really had any luck playing an FPS on Switch. The thumbsticks are
Really?
they're just not built for it. Much as I'd love
Yeah,
to,
I think the first game I played on Switch that was an FPS was Call of Juarez Gunslinger. And
what a game.
that was the first one. I was like, well, this is actually pretty solid, but there is that feeling of like it's a little bit more sluggish because Joy-Cons are known for having a bit of delay sometimes, especially as they age. And there's a bit of that even in Quake. Like I definitely can't play nearly as fast on Switch than I can on PC.
Yeah.
So
I think once you get used to playing with a keyboard and mouse with an FPS, everything else is just a whole different lesson ball game. Well, I can't play on the Xbox with the controller anymore. Just can't do it. And that's where I have Project Warlock. I have it on my Xbox. But
I actually think that like something like Bulletstorm would be terrible on PC compared to console. Just because of like the weird Gears of War style running and shit that they have, where you have to hold the button down and kind of and also like the whip and stuff is bumper based, so it's like I don't know what it's like keyed. I mean, I'm sure you obviously can remap it or whatever, but there's nothing that would feel right to like press to do a leash to pull someone towards you on a keyboard and mouse, in my opinion. It would just feel weird.
How do you
do what?
Little Q action. Doesn't Q and E kind of operate as your bumpers, or R, not R. R is reload.
Yeah, I guess. Or usually E is like an interaction. So maybe Q and R, I guess, would be like that. But to me, that would just feel weird. It's also like when I was playing Enslaved Odyssey of the West earlier. It's the first time in a long time that I played a third-person game with keyboard and mouse. I still don't like it at all. It just feels so friggin' weird.
On PC,
You're controlling the camera with the mouse in third person, and then you're moving without like full direction.
Oh, that sounds wretched.
WASD, so you don't have like every. It still like works the same, but it just doesn't feel right. you don't have like full control of movement. It's really weird.
Yeah, Scully, did you catch the Xbox Developer Direct with Doom?
I did, yeah, but I didn't watch the rest. I only cared about Doom, so
Yeah,
I
that's
just
all
watched
I came in
the
for
Doom
as
reveal.
well.
Yeah,
But they
I
were
heard
saying,
that it was called Doom: The Dark Ages, but it's more like Doom slow-mo, right?
it's very tanky. Think the movement is more serious, Sam, in terms of you on the ground. It's not.
No,
It's not Brazenscull.
It is so slow compared to Serious Sam. I'll be
yeah.
honest with you. It looks
not gonna-
great. I'm
it's
gonna
not gonna
play
be
it.
like that
I
when it releases,
guarantee you that I'm gonna love it. But that gameplay's
It's
still
Doom.
gonna be slow as shit. Like it's not gonna be.
I
Like, Doom
thought-
Eternal is like crack,
Yeah.
and Dark Ages is gonna be slower than Doom 2016. And they even said, in fact, that it was going to be
Yeah.
the slowest because of the whole approach. But it's also gonna be like much broader, like open arenas, like
Yeah.
a Serious Sam
I like the idea of them saying they
kind
were
of kind of thing.
different. Was it different ways of shooting with the same input or something like that?
Yeah,
But the only thing that
It's also now a bullet hell.
yeah, I don't know.
It's a bullet
I don't
hell game
know.
now.
From the rate that Mancubus was shooting, you could have eaten the sandwich before it hit you. It was
It
pretty.
was
It was
super
pretty.
slow.
Yeah, but
Far
it's still
down
it's
purpose.
still like you're
Like the enemy
dodging
placement's super
literal
far apart.
projectiles now versus like, you know, bullets like before and stuff. You know, you're dodging like these almost tracking projectiles like
Yeah.
you're playing Serious Sam and you're on a field and you're dodging the bullets
Do you
like, in
remember
real
when?
time.
Do you remember when the initial reveal of Doom Eternal came out with the, the Crucible and with the Archvile? When you go back and you look at that now, it looks so pedestrian compared to how the game actually is when it released. And I feel that's how we're
Yeah.
going to feel when we look back at the Developer Direct, as fantastic and as hype as it was. How the game actually is going to release will completely and utterly blow us away. It's at the end of the day, it is another
Yeah.
Doom game, and we're all going to be salivating over it.
Oh, it's gonna be.
it's gonna
I mean,
be
it's gonna be
awesome.
great regardless.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a very different kind of game.
yeah.
It looks like visually it's very Quake 1, and gameplay wise it's giving me hardcore Hexen vibes. You know what I mean? Like it's
I
take away the guns and you're basically got a Hexen game in Quake 1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just
they are testing
weird,
the
but
waters.
it's cool.
I'm telling you, they are testing the waters for a Quake reboot.
oh yeah,
That was my theory.
certainly.
The moment I saw that was my theory.
Yeah,
I agree.
there hasn't been one since Quake Champions. That was 2013
Yeah, and
or
then
something.
so after Doom the Dark Ages, we'll get a Quake game, and they'll have open levels like that, except
Yeah.
it'll be faster than Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
and
Well,
you're just like, fucking-
I'll bet you though, because Quake is a lesser known franchise, I bet you they'll lean
somehow nowadays.
I know they'll lean heavily into from the same makers as Doom to try and
Yeah.
get people making that association between the two of them that these are the same
But
people.
do you think they'll lean into the Strog again, or do you think they'll lean
I hope
back into
not.
the more
I
Lovecraft?
hope-
Yeah, I'd rather have the Lovecraft.
I know Machine,
Yeah, I want the
Machine Games.
Lovecraft.
Machine Games has linked the two universes together, so there is
Yeah.
nothing to say that they can make a Lovecraftian one and a Strog one, and those two universes can unite in a third game or something like that. But I think, in my opinion, the Lovecraftian
Definitely
one,
want more of that Quake 1 world.
yeah. The
more of that.
Lovecraftian one is the lesser road trodden. Everyone has played, the aliens in space, and you got to defend your station sort of game. It's a trope at
Yeah.
this point. But as long as any Quake reboots has an actual boss battles and stuff like that, because Quake is a masterpiece, but its boss battles are terrible.
Yeah,
That is something that needs to be addressed.
Even DOSMan, you're fighting aliens in space. You're fighting a bunch of Squidbillies, if anybody gets that reference.
I do. It's very niche. It's very niche, but I like it. It's a
I love it.
very early Adult Swim cartoon. The Squid
Yeah.
Boys.
Are they?
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for joining us, Scully, and thank you everybody for watching another episode of the Quad Damage Podcast, the best boomer shooter podcast out there. Really, the only boomer shooter podcast out there, and just the greatest podcast of all time in general. So, as usual, thank you for joining us. Right? Thank you for being here, and of course, where can we find you, Scully?
That's an incredibly good question because I'm actually on something of a social media detox at the moment. But what I will say is look out in the near future for the release of Dead Trash because, as I said earlier, you will be able to purchase the soundtrack there. And if for whatever bizarre reason you want more of me, that's where you can find it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, to Dead Trash.
Yeah.
And of course, you can find me on X at Lord of the RPG, Deadforge on YouTube, Deadforge on Patreon, and I believe that is it. Where can we find you, Robert?
You can find me on X at RobertYapp80. If you want to look at my personal profile, you can also find the Quad Damage Podcast on Reddit under Quad Damage Podcast, on Blue Sky under Quad Damage Podcast, and X as well under the Quad Dam Podcast. So feel free to follow us on any of those platforms. Visit our affiliate store, join our memberships, visit our merchandise store. We've got a whole shebang going for you guys.
And it's not quite Medium, but where can we find you?
Find me at YouTube at Midnight Medium, a Midnight Medium on Water. I'm on Blue Sky for reasons. Yeah, that's most of the play. And if you like lighting money on fire and just saying who needs wealth, you can throw that at me at Patreon and just go. Maybe he can make better use of it than me.
Support great creators, and Medium's a great creator. He's worth supporting.
Oh, and follow DOSMan Games.
Absolutely.
Definitely
rumor.
follow DOSMan Games.
Yeah. Perfect.
And Emil, and
Emil,
Sam
and Game
himself,
Fruit.
and everybody.
The boys. All good people.
All of them. All them.
All them boys.
And until next time,
And we them boys.
Keep your shirt on.
Keep on booming.
keep on licking, booming.
He meant
On
take your
boning.
shirt off, not keep it on.